Yeah, obviously a great evening or afternoon in honor of Coach Bennett. It was so cool. I was honored to be on the court, with him in that moment. I don't think either of us, we talked about it yesterday morning on the phone. Obviously neither one of us could have ever predicted that we would be standing there together. We knew he would be getting his name on the court, but at some point, but not me standing there with him. And he's been so supportive of the guys and me personally. Like I said, out there, he's what college basketball is all about in terms of from a coaching perspective. He was about all the right things. He proved that you could win at the ultimate level, the highest level, and do it with dignity and class and integrity and a ferociousness from a competitive standpoint. His teams were well balanced and knew who they were and knew what they needed to do to win. And it was a testament, to him and just his ability to connect with people, mentor people. And he and Laurel have meant so much to this community, Eli and Anna as well. And it was a really cool moment for the Bennetts. There's no question about it. And I was happy that our team, was able to be out there, with the guys. He actually called me to encourage me not to do that, just to focus on the game in classic TB form. But I said, no, this is, when we first came here, we talked about the legacy, and when we read that book over the summer, it was all about leaving the jersey in a better place and connecting these guys to this basketball program, most importantly, this university. And they certainly have done that, our guys. And I wanted them to witness that part of the history of our program and for them to see it and be there with all the fans and see just the general appreciation that everybody in the building has for the Bennett family.
After Miami tied it at 83, Chance did not hesitate when he got the ball. Is that a situation you've talked a lot about or practiced, or is that just his court sense taking over?
Yeah, definitely his court sense. I mean, typically when the game, that's a point guard, right? When the game's on the line like that, you want to get it up as quickly as you can. It's certainly something that we've worked on, but and give us a chance to call the timeout if we need it. And so really it's up to me at that point. I like to let our guys go, and you could sense that. Jakari's shot was amazing, but when he gets in that zone, he's made several in that situation. As a coach, you have to trust, and certainly in that moment we did. Chance advanced it as fast as he could and created something really positive there. Obviously, he made the free throws, which was a huge thing. A lot of pressure there.
Mike, David, Greg, and then Jackie.
Ryan, you played this game without Tillis. You only went 3 deep into your bench.
Yeah.
And then you end up in arguably one of the toughest late game situations you've been in. How did your guys hold up physically, and what did you think of the late game execution?
Yeah, I thought our guys did their best. We wanted to get more stops, certainly. We wanted to rebound better. I think it was our first time, losing that battle since the Virginia Tech game. Not really who we are, but Tess was a warrior today. He played 36. He hadn't done that certainly all year, and except for maybe that overtime game or the triple overtime game. I don't know how many minutes he played in that one, but Tillis is an important player for us. I mean, there's no question about it. He comes in, he spells guys. He's a really good leader, but I thought all the guys stepped up. They did a really nice job. We thought about playing the two bigs together, and we practiced that a little bit. Going into the game, but that didn't, come to fruition. And we felt good about where we were. The key for us was, in the second half, digging in more. They are a very well-coached team. They are an attacking and downhill team. They offensive rebound like we do, and they get to the free throw line. And it was just a matter of whether we were going to be able to stand up to that in the second half, and so we challenged them at halftime to be more physical on the drives and keep them further away from the basket. Clearly, we were still doubling, and that put us in some rotations, and you can give up some offensive rebounds when you are doubling the post, but it was a necessity for us to do that. But these guys, our guys, just continue to find ways to finish games, and certainly we were fortunate tonight. Miami's a really good team. They've won 21 games or whatever it is, just like, our team, they found ways to be successful.
David?
Ryan, what was the genesis of the painting of Tony and his
Yeah,
dad?
so I prayed for snow, to the most epic snowstorm, in Charlottesville to happen, so I would have more time, to figure that out. No, it was ready for that night too, in all seriousness. But I just began to think, he's probably, he being TB, probably has, plenty of national championship photos of him winning a championship and holding a net, hugging his players, all the sports things that happen. And, he and I share a very common bond. We were both raised in a coaching family. And, the sacrifice that Lynn Odom, made, that my, brother certainly made, that I made for my father to be able to be away coaching. And it's obviously the same in the Bennett family, and they have multiple coaches in their family that sitting around the dinner table, that's all you talk about. All right, when's the next game? And so we certainly share that bond. And then now we share the coaching bond. Now our fathers have to watch us do it and go crazy. I can't imagine what my dad was doing out there in that game today with all the twists and turns. And, we're very blessed, to have been raised in a basketball family. The ball has done tremendous things for our families, and I wanted to do something. But at its core, it comes down to, it was a coach and his son, and then it was a coach and his father in that photo. And, obviously we're all more than that, but I wanted him to have that. Hopefully he gives it to his dad, and his dad can appreciate that, and his mom, I know his mom will appreciate that, because it's that was a moment that they shared together, and hopefully they'll appreciate it.
Yeah, how impactful was Tess's defense today? He had the block before Jakari hit the three late. He had a couple other possessions where he had one-on-one matchups and he stopped the guy. How
Yeah.
impactful? What did you see from Tess defensively?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting better. He's getting better at it. When we were tight with our switches, all right, they had a harder time getting inside our defense. When we had the miscommunications, all of a sudden you saw an edge, and then we weren't quite ready, all right, or early enough to help, on the baseline there. And it's just something that we've got to improve upon. And they're really good. Like they get to the basket, and they're a very physical team. And you have to stop them before they get, to the paint, if you're going to have a chance. And when we did, we were pretty successful. When we didn't, all right, they made us pay.
In the second half, you were able to control them to 38.7% shooting compared to 56% in the first half. Johan Grunlow was one of the reasons why, with his physicality
Yeah.
under the rim. How did he kind of improve defensively in that game?
Yeah, I mean, Johan was tremendous. I thought it was one of his better games, if not his best game, of his career or his early career so far. And really proud of him. Talked to the team about that in the locker room just a second ago. And he blocks so many shots around the rim. One was a foul, unfortunately, but he's just a really good player, and it's great to see him, kind of coming out of that. He had a couple of games where he wasn't at his best, and that's how seasons go. But he's a determined player and a confident player, and I thought he did a nice job tonight.
You've mentioned before, Jakari seems to get into a zone like that late. How comfortable, or do you know when he's getting into that zone? It feels like he has like a level of fearlessness when he's out there.
Yeah, a lot of it's just when that ball's going in the basket. He fires that first one, and he sees one go in, and then his feet start popping, and he's moving to find shots, and there's just an energy. There's a confidence with him, and I certainly can relate to that. I love to shoot the ball too, but he's a special player.
Coach, seems you had a very clear idea heading into the game on how you wanted to defend Malik Renault with the doubles showing early, force 5 turnovers off of those. Can you just talk about sort of the scout in terms of especially their physicality with their front court 3 and what you plan to do
They're
against them?
really tough to deal with, and they're even better in person than when you watch them on film. They have big bodies, and so you have to deal with that. And, I think our guys, for the most part, stood up strong. We took that lead in the second half, took the lead in the first half after being down 11. And so there was just a resiliency that our guys played with when we weren't particularly playing our best. Didn't end the half great, but came out of halftime and reestablished, some positive play. But, I thought our guys did a nice job, doubling him sometimes on the bounce, sometimes on the catch. The key is he looks for his partner underneath the basket, and he's a really big human being near the rim. And so it's a lot for our guards, all right, to get down in there and deal with that. And but the key was we didn't want him to go one-on-one and put fouls on Tess, given the circumstances or any of our guys, given the circumstances with Tillis being out.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Coach Lucas,